All right, hey everyone, you got Adam here from Socedo. I'm with Asim today.
Hello.
And we're going to be talking about why and how business executives can build their influence, especially on social media. So recently, Sprinkler partnered with LinkedIn to actually release this report from Forbes on the top 50 CMO influencers, and specifically around social media, community engagement, and how many of them are connected to each other and to their brands online. And it's a really interesting report on the Sprinkler site. So, Asim, let's start there. Why is it important for business executives at all? Why do we care that this report actually exists?
Yeah, no, it's funny. I mean, this report that Sprinkler did with Forbes and LinkedIn really is a great reminder that executives should have a presence on social media in the first place. Business executives, your goal is to move up in your career, gain influence within your industry, and this report is just such a good example of how that happens on social media. So we wanted to dive in a little bit into this report. We think Sprinkler and LinkedIn and Forbes did a really good job here just focusing on CMOs, but for everybody out there, no matter what executive position you're in, there's a lot to learn from this report and how to use social media in order to really gain and build that influence. I think, at a very high level, you are seeing this kind of paradigm shift where 10 years ago, executives were the people that had, gone to Harvard, they had the right networks, they were going to the right golf clubs, and now you're kind of seeing this new paradigm where influential executives are really the people that have a presence on social media. So let's start there as we kind of walk into this report. One of the first things that we want to look at, and again, here we're talking about CMOs, but generically we can talk about all executives in business that, listen, 45 of the top 50 CMOs are on Twitter and 49 are on LinkedIn. What this tells you is if you're going to be influential as an executive in business, you should be on LinkedIn and you should be on Twitter. These are the places where you're going to gain influence. And you'll see here more than 90% of all the influential executives are on those platforms. And more importantly, they're active on social media. So you'll see on LinkedIn, these influential executives tend to have twice as many LinkedIn connections. And on Twitter, they have about 2.5 as many Twitter followers and 2x as many posts as the average big brand CMO. So this is really nice and easy because what it tells you is that if you want to be influential, if you want to grow in your career, if you want to grow in terms of the audience that you're capturing within your industry, the first place to start is 1, be on LinkedIn and be on Twitter. 2, make sure you're growing your audience on LinkedIn and Twitter. And 3, make sure that you're actually actively posting on LinkedIn and Twitter. And that's pretty cool to know, because it means that if you want to grow your influence as a business executive, those are all really straightforward things to do. 1, get on the social networks, build a profile. 2, gain connections and followers. The way that you go and do this is by connecting with all the people that you're already coming across in your daily life. You're a busy executive, you're collecting business cards, you're getting email addresses from people. The first thing you should do is make sure you look them up on LinkedIn and Twitter, follow them, connect with them. Go out and follow people that are using keywords or handles. I was actually just talking to one of our customers that set up Socedo campaigns to do this on behalf of their executives, so those executives can gain more influence. We recommend you do the same. And the last point here is that you're going to get more insight, more attention by posting more often. So whether this is to Twitter or LinkedIn, the more you post, the more influential you're going to become. And that means thinking about what are you doing throughout your day, what are you reading, making sure that you're sharing that. And the nice thing as an executive is that you're going to get more feedback and more commentary from your industry if you are doing those things.
So, see, are there any kind of common traits of what these top CMOs are posting about on their Twitter feeds?
I think it really comes down to their industry. So 1, I think the more that you can post and share things from other influential people in your space, the more you're going to be connected and kind of grouped into the same category as those other influencers. But really, Adam, one of the things that I like to do is just share the things that are coming out of my daily, kind of routine. So all the time in my email or throughout Socedo, we're collecting articles that are interesting. Those are things that I want to post. Obviously, creating content like this is really what's going into my LinkedIn profile, onto my Twitter profile. Obviously, our own marketing department is helping with some of those posts. But look for things that are about conferences in your industry, or about the things that you're reading, or from the other influencers, and then some unique content that you're creating just through the day-to-day that you're going through as a business executive.
Awesome, awesome. So who are some of these top CMOs?
Yeah, so let's take a look at the list here. Again, it's all in the report, but what you're going to see here as we kind of walk through it, the most influential CMOs of 2017, starting with Keith Weed over at Unilever, then to HP, Apple, GE, and Twitter are kind of rounding out your top 5. So obviously CMOs at really, really big companies, but kind of a smattering here, right? You're seeing B2C CMOs, you're seeing B2B CMOs, and obviously what these people are talking about is within their industry, within marketing itself, because they're CMOs. So this gives you a good list of people that you should go follow. If you're a CMO and you want to be influential, go look at what these CMOs are talking about, what they're tweeting about, and that's going to give you a lot of good ideas for what you should be talking about from your own profile.
Great, great. So, I mean, building a huge audience for yourself is really great, but how can then you start to tie that back to the business goals and the marketing goals?
Yeah. So, as an executive, your job is to represent your company. And the more that you talk about what's going on within your company, give people insider access, the more influence you're going to gain for your company as well. So you may start to think about this a little bit as a content kind of calendar, right? Where you segment out what topics do you want to be talking about and how much do you want to be talking about them. Maybe you say 20% of everything going on your feed is going to be personal. You want to humanize things. You want to talk about a vacation that you went on, your kids, soccer games, sports. You might do that with 20% of your content. You might say 20% is just about your industry or your profession as a whole. So just talking about marketing, for example. The CMO at Unilever, just talking about general advertising tactics, marketing tactics. You may say 20% is going to be all about your company. And so Keith might be talking about the latest and greatest announcements coming out of Unilever. Maybe 20% is for cultural things, right? What's happening from an employee perspective at that company. And when you start to piece it out like that, you're going to have a much better grasp of how much is really for humanizing your profile, talking about your industry, but then also talking about your company.
Great, great. So obviously it's not just for executives. Should all employees be building their brand presence?
Listen, at the end of the day, in 2018, we are all here to build a personal brand. This is nothing new. It's been in our resume. Every single time you go look for a job, you're putting your best foot forward. And I would absolutely recommend that every professional has a Twitter account, has a LinkedIn account. It's going to accelerate your career to getting to that executive level because, let's face it, when you apply for a job, what's the first thing that people are going to look at? They're going to look at your LinkedIn profile. They're going to look at your Twitter profile. They're going to look at the content you're posting, how many followers you have. And the more influential you are, the faster you're going to get new jobs, the faster you're going to move up in your career.
Great. So what are some of the first steps that professionals can take to start building up their influence online?
Yeah, so going back to the top of this report, really simple 3 steps, right? 1, be on these platforms. You've got to be on Twitter and you've got to be on LinkedIn if you want to gain influence as a professional. 2, make sure you've got a lot of followers and connections on those platforms. So every single person you meet, you should be following and connecting with on LinkedIn. And 3, make sure you're posting to those platforms twice as much as other people are. I'd say for everybody getting started, start with once a day. Can you share a piece of content? Can you share an insight? Can you share something that happened in your day so that you can start to build influence as a professional?
Great. Thanks, Asim.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.